Have you ever thought that a simple phrase, said at just the right moment, can reveal more than 100 interviews? There are confessions that shouldn't leave the locker room unless they're too true to keep quiet. And that's exactly what Messi experienced in Miami, when Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, two lifelong brothers, let out words that didn't sound like a tribute. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell us what you think of Messi. Is it possible that he could win the Ballon d'Or next year? We're reading you. Continuing with the updates from Jordi Alba and Busquets, they sounded like pure truth, almost like a poetic goodbye that leaves football with no answers. Jordi Alba, the fullback who seemed to have a GPS connected to Messi's left foot, said it without filters. For him, it was a privilege, an honor, a blessing to share the pitch with who he considers the best player in history. And he didn't say it like someone repeating a cliché because it sounds nice. He said it like someone who lived a telepathic connection, a play built without looking, as if football were reduced to a gesture, a glance, an understanding you can't train. Isn't that every footballer's dream? To understand Messi without speaking, Alba had it, and he appreciated it until the very last day. But between praise and emotion, he let slip a wound that still bleeds in Barcelona. Messi's exit from the club wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't what Messi wanted. 2 years in Paris that, according to Alba, were not good. And there appears the cruel irony of fate. Barca, the club that depended so much on Messi, ended up watching him triumph somewhere else, while his old teammates carried the weight of nostalgia. Alba even confessed that he wishes he could play with him again, as if time could go backwards and return that magic that felt eternal. Isn't it curious that even the most successful champions want to relive the unrepeatable? And right then, when nostalgia seemed to take everything away, Miami appears. But the story wasn't going to end in Barcelona. It would find its final chapter where no one imagined. Alba revealed that with Messi on the team, they knew they were going to win. They didn't doubt it, because Leo wasn't going to let them retire without one more title. And that's exactly what happened. The 2025 MLS Cup became that last gift, that proof that Messi doesn't play just for himself, but so his friends can leave with full hearts. Doesn't that say more about the person than the player? Winning just to win is easy. Winning so others can retire happy. That's something else entirely. And if we're talking about understanding Messi, we can't leave out Sergio Busquets. The midfielder with a metronome in his feet confessed that his goal in Miami was simple: to win titles together again. And they did. For him, having Messi was a tactical advantage, a relief, a way to simplify football. How many coaches have dreamed of a phrase like that? That your team becomes easier to manage just because Messi is there. Before retiring, Busquets had one goal: to do it while lifting a title next to Messi. And they achieved it. Messi himself highlighted it as a beautiful ending for both of them, as if football were gifting them one last movie scene. The cup in their hands, lifelong hugs, and the certainty that they close their story in the best way possible. If we think about it, what Alba and Busquets said weren't empty compliments. It was recognition of Messi's human dimension. They didn't talk about statistics, records, or Ballon d'Ors. They talked about pride, privilege, advantages, happy endings. They talked about friendship, complicity, about that "I play better because you're next to me." Messi wasn't just the best player in history for them, he was the friend who made sure they retired with a smile. But if everything Alba and Busquets shared already sounded deep, what comes next leaves you thinking for a good while. Because there is something no one says out loud, but that is understood between the lines. Messi's true greatness isn't measured in titles, but in how he transforms those around him. And when you listen closely to what his friends revealed, you realize they weren't describing a footballer. They were describing a human phenomenon. Because in Miami, something happened that rarely occurs in elite football. They opened up, let their armor fall, and exposed what Messi's locker room lived for 15 years. That playing with him not only made you better, it made you different. Jordi Alba said it without saying it. With Leo, you feel like you have an advantage no one else has. And that phrase, which seems simple, hides a reality very few understand. It wasn't about receiving a magical pass. It was the feeling that the match was under control because Messi was there. That calm you only get from someone who, even in the worst moments, always finds a solution. And Busquets went even further without realizing it. When he said that in Miami, everything became easier because Messi was on the pitch. He wasn't talking about tactics. He was talking about confidence, security, that feeling that if things get complicated, he'll solve it. How many players in all of history can generate that? But the truly powerful part arrives when you think about how they closed their careers. It wasn't in Barcelona. It wasn't in Europe. It was in a corner of the world where no one imagined that ending. And yet there, in a Miami stadium surrounded by lights and cameras, they found the farewell Barca denied them. A farewell with Messi by their side and a cup in their hands. And then comes the question no one dares to ask. How many players in history can say that Messi not only made them better, but also gave them a happy ending? Because Alba and Busquets weren't talking about athletic success. They were talking about gratitude, about having been part of something unrepeatable, about a bond that survived distance, club changes, bitter endings, and goodbyes that hurt more than they admit. And here is the part that hits hardest. They did not leave football wanting more. They didn't leave with a sense of emptiness. They didn't leave asking themselves, what if? They left complete. They left in peace. They left as champions, all thanks to Messi. Doesn't it say something that both of them, in their last year, in their last chance, trusted that if Messi was there, the title would arrive in almost cinematic fashion? It's almost unfair to the rest of the world. It's almost proof that what Messi did during his career wasn't just shine himself, but make everyone around him shine too. And there's one more detail that sums up the whole story. Messi could have gone to Miami just to enjoy himself, to relax, to ease the pressure. No one would have criticized him. He had already won everything, proven everything. But no, he chose to do what he always has: compete, lead, push, elevate, accompany. He chose to let his friends retire lifting a trophy, not lowering their heads. He chose to write a final chapter he didn't even need. But they did. That's not something a football genius does. That's something an extraordinary person does. And now that both are retired, the inevitable reflection remains. What player in history left such a deep impact on his teammates beyond titles and records? Because when your friends leave football thanking you for how you made them feel, it's because your legacy has already passed from the field to the heart. And you? Do you think we will ever see another football relationship as sincere, as human, and as perfect as that of Messi, Alba, and Busquets? Or was this the last great brotherhood of modern football? Leave your opinion in the comments, and if you want to keep experiencing these stories that blend football, emotion, and reflection, subscribe, because here we continue telling what football never says out loud. See you tomorrow.